The vice president, as I said, in Las Vegas last night, went to a fundraiser. The Washington Post has the invite. Here it is, 105A. And this is a long-running theme of mine and on this program and on Two-Way, which is the vice president is unique. There's never been an incumbent vice president who's been authorized to do as much to position to run on his own. Vance's appearance at the MAGA Inc. event, this was the Vegas fundraiser last night, comes as the VP is emerging as a powerful fundraising force for Trump's political operations, not only appearing at another recent $1 million per head private dinner for the pro-Trump super PAC in Palm Beach, but also at RNC fundraisers. This spring, Vance became the first vice president to be tapped as the RNC's finance chair, doing so ahead of the party's push to hold the House and Senate in the 2026 midterms. George H.W. Bush, Al Gore, Joe Biden, none of them were given the access to the president's donors the way Vance has. Sean,
Well,
how big an advantage is this for him to try to lock up the nomination in 28 if he wants it?
It's massive. I mean, there's two stories here that I see. Number one, the story that you're alluding to, the role that JD Vance is playing, the opportunity he has. I mean, when you go, you are literally, I mean, what's the Glengarry Ross? Like these are the leads. You're getting on the phone, they're handing you and saying, call Dan Turner. I mean, Dan knows this better than anyone, but like this is here are the guys that give money. Here's the messages for them, blah, 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 blah. You're developing a relationship with them. This is like literally getting 18 extra at bats before, before the game starts. Like you're warmed up like no one else. You're developing relationships. This is huge. The second story that I think is almost as big, but completely separate, is the Trump political operation, both the RNC, the Trump Vance 2025 committee, by the way, which is what the headlines are, and then MAGA Inc., etc. No president in modern history has, in their second term, maintained a political operation the size and scope of which this team is doing. It benefits the party, it benefits him and his team, and going forward. But there is normally you win a second term, and it's like you shut you throw the keys out the window and say bye bye. These guys are maintaining a political operation the likes of which has never been seen in a second term.
And I wouldn't even say second term. Usually, first term.
You're right.
Yeah. And Dan, Sean alluded to your deep experience with the donor class. There are lots of differences between Republicans and Democrats, but the donor classes are pretty similar, right, culturally. And one thing that I think occurred to me that is different between Vance and Trump, which is Vance is a lot more donor class friendly stylistically. Yep. Much easier to talk to him, to ask him questions and get linear answers as opposed to the weave. Much more, just greater cultural affinity. He worked in equity and private equity in a way that a lot of them can relate to. So talk about if Joe Biden or Al Gore had been given this type of perch, how much greater their chances would have been.
Yeah, I mean, there's three parts to this. There's the access to the donors, which clearly he has. There's the comfort with the donors. There's a lot of members of Congress and governors who get very uncomfortable around these people. JD Vance, to your point, seems very much at home, at ease. And then the last part, which may be as important, is there's no question that JD Vance is at the table on a lot of these issues. His staff populates the White House. They some of them are in charge of some of these agencies, and it's been pretty well documented. So on some level, it's the perfect storm. It's the access, the comfort, and the influence. And Trump, to his credit, seems very comfortable putting JD Vance in this perch. So
well, the relationships that they build, right? These guys, the team's goal is to maximize your time. So you get up there, you maybe make a phone call for a specific ask, or to go to an event or to host an event. The relationship that you build, you can't put a price tag on that, because the ROI on a big donor. So when you put a piece of mail out to solicit a donor for $100, you pay for the mail, for the stamp, you pay for the paper, you pay for whatever. Your ROI on that is much greater than an individual that you call and say, hey, can you give me 10 grand? Can you host a $100,000 event, $1 million event? That costs you a phone call and 10 minutes of your time. So the ROI on big donors is so much greater, and the relationship that he builds is going to give him such a financial advantage going into the 2028 cycle. I don't know that anybody else who's not independently wealthy could compete.
Well,
Yeah.
and the thing too that you're allowed to, that you can then do is if I get to know Sean Spicer because he writes $1 million checks,
All the time.
I get to know Sean's family. So let's say Sean's kid's graduating from high school, right? I'll write a personal note. I'll send the video to the bat mitzvah, seller. Those little things go so far in building and the Clintons were masters at this. They still do it today. Like they show up at Huma's wedding. They're everywhere. And therefore, as a donor, you're like, what can I do for you? And that transactional nature is how you form steep bonds.
Right. Hey, did you like that conversation? Well, you can be part of the Two-Way community. Join us live for interactive conversations like no other. Go to tway.tv. You can also watch anytime. Hit the subscribe button and watch our Two-Way clips and full episodes whenever your time allows.